next Chess Friday social. It's a little bit past noon here in the Pacific Coast, and I'm very happy to introduce our next guest, national TD and international arbiter Glenn Panner. Welcome, Glenn.
Hi, thank you, Judith. I'm excited to be on your show, and I'm a huge fan of the Mechanics Institute. It's very high on my bucket list of chess things to do and to come visit. So hopefully, when the pandemic's over, I'll be welcome there.
Yeah, we will put together a tournament and we can run it together as we can.
Deal.
So you're joining us today from the Chicago area, right?
Yes, exactly.
So the reason I wanted you to on the show because you recently won an award, the 2020 Tournament Director of the Year, which is a prestigious award. But that's not the only award you won previously from US Chess. So let's go very back and let's start with the beginning, if you care, because that's always fun to learn. How did you learn chess, and how did you become involved with chess?
I started late, relatively speaking, compared to a lot of scholastic players. I started when I was in middle school, and my dad taught me the game, and I played my first US Chess Rated tournament when I was 13 years old.
Wow.
And a little bit about me: when I was that age, I was painfully shy.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't like talking to anyone. Making friends was very difficult for me. And my dad took me to my very first tournament, and it was very eye-opening. And the reason why it's so eye-opening was that there were probably 150 people. I was so surprised to see that many people interested in the same activity that I had. And what was strange was my dad figured he'd drop me off at 9 a.m, pick me up at like noon or 1. And back at those times, it was before we were using computers for pairings. So tournaments, while they started at 9 a.m, quite often weren't done till 9 or 10 at night.
Yeah.
And so when he asked, what time should I pick Glenn up? Hearing, about 9 o'clock tonight, he was like, wait a second, I'm not leaving my 13-year-old here for the entire day like that. And we're very fortunate that the tournament was run by Fred Gruenberg, who's to this day one of my closest friends. And Freddie said, don't worry about him. I'll take him under my wing. So at my very first tournament, I got the opportunity and the great fortune to observe one of the best tournament organizers of all time, in my opinion. So it was neat. It was such a great experience, though, because as I mentioned, I was very shy, and there more so back then, but even today, you see kind of one of the customs. Which is, to go over your games with your opponents. So for a shy kid, it was a very, very great way to make new friends. I was able to, I played the game, and you'd sit down afterwards, and it's natural, and you'd talk about the game, and hey, that was a really nice idea. How'd you come up with that? And what would happen is
almost like a secret language, right?
I'm sorry?
It's almost like a secret language that you speak each other's language, right?
It was, and it was cool because after the game, you went on your own way and you wished them well the rest of the tournament. And sometimes you'd see them in the Skittles room or the hallway afterwards, and hey, how'd you do that round? So for someone that didn't have the greatest social skills in the world, it was a very, very low pressure way to meet new people and make new friends, and was very impactful on my life as it has developed.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's very interesting to see that players who start a little bit later than the usual 6-7 age 6-7, you can still become a really successful chess player, chess organizer, chess tournament director. So I think you're a living proof of that. So I always like to point this out and have you talk about that. And then when was the first time you actually tournament directed or organized a tournament? I guess that's two separate questions.
just a few months after that, I was going to a chess club, and what often happens in chess clubs is that everyone wants to play and very few people want to direct. So could you hold on 1 second?
That's fine.
So
it's
sorry.
Fine. And I made a mistake, actually. Oh, I made a mistake too, because I saw us and I didn't transition. So the first minute, actually, it was a black screen. They could hear us talking, but it was a black. So anyway, we live and learn. This is the fun. Well, we amateurs are doing it. So it's all good. We are. So
a lot of
people want to. Yeah, a lot of people wanted to play, right?
Yeah, everyone wants to play, and I was always interested in the pairings and learned how to pair via pairing cards. So kind of the last generation to really learn that way. So I got my shot directing club tournaments, and I was definitely one of the youngest to run a FIDE futurity at the age of 15, be the chief TD of one, which you can't do these days.
Back then they didn't have the age limit.
No, they didn't have an age limit. Actually, the person that that hooked me into running that tournament and directing it was someone who I'm sure you know very well from the Bay Area, the late Eric Schiller, back in his days when he was at University of Chicago.
Yeah, we miss Eric so much.
Yes, I do too.
So that was tournament directing, right? So you grew up, and when did you realize that, well, there are club tournaments and directors, local, senior, and when did you become a national tournament director? Because that's the highest level, right?
It is the highest level. That kind of happened more along the lines by accident than anything else. I have a lot of friends that were running tournaments. They'd ask me to direct, and they'd say, hey, you know what? You really should take the next level test. You should be a senior TD. You should be an ANTD or an NTD. And I'd be like, yeah, why? And they'd tell me, well, it pays more, which was nice. But that wasn't the reason. So finally, when Tim Just, who's kind of one of my TD mentors, who you probably recognize the name from the rule book, of course. Tim put together a spreadsheet of the events I did, and he said, hey, you're already qualified. You can take the NTD test again. So I was very surprised and took it and passed, and have been an NTD ever since.
Oh, nice. And then, you won the TD of the year this year, right?
I did. That was a huge surprise and very special because it's voted on by the TD certification committee. So there's a lot of tremendous tournament directors on that committee, and to be recognized by your peers is it's a special thing. I know we've talked before about your own achievement, winning the organizer of the year, and you can.
And then you won it the year after, right? You also won that, the organizer of the year. But tell us a little bit about the tournaments that you're organizing. Like, just we had the chance to work together, and I learned so much from you during the Pan Ams, the 2018 Pan Ams, and then you invited me to help out with the U.S. Amateur Team North. So these are both national level tournaments, right?
Right.
How many of those national level tournaments? What other national tournaments do you organize, or TD? Sorry about it.
Directed at, there's been a lot. I've been the chief of the national K-12 championships. I've been the chief of several U.S. Game 30s, Game 60s. Quite a few different, the U.S. Amateur Team events, the Pan Ams. So quite a few different, different style of events. The National High School just last year as well, held here in the Chicago area.
Yes. That's very special, special community that you have there from the high school championship, because in the state level, you're also helping out in the high school league, right? That's something
Um,
very unique, right?
yeah, Illinois high school chess is a huge thing with our state high school tournament. Having it's a different format than most places, eight boards versus eight boards, and well over about 1,200 players
Yeah.
who
Now,
are actively
let's
playing.
stop there a bit. 1,200 players. Can you imagine that? 1,200 high school kids. Normally, you get maybe 50 high schoolers, right? If it's 100, it's a huge deal. 1,200. I mean, how did it grow out? That's always fascinating me.
Well, it was founded by National Tournament Director Mike Zakate, way back before I was born. And back then, the teams that would come in for it, it was held in the gym of the high school he taught, and teams would actually sleep in the gym. And it became one of those tremendous bonding experiences for those teams. You would, even if you had a lousy team, you'd play your season out just because you'd have the opportunity to go to state. And it was, 2 days of just having a lot of fun and meeting new friends and just playing a lot of chess. It was a great experience.
And I'm guessing it's word of mouth. It grew, right? Because high schoolers do talk to each other a lot.
They do. And, that one's run by the Illinois High School Association. So it's not US Chess rated. That's kind of a long story in and of itself, but it's run through the school. So it has tremendous support from the schools themselves.
Nice. So there's no going around it that we are in the middle of a pandemic, and so there isn't a lot of over-the-board tournaments nowadays. What is your opinion about the online tournaments and online ratings, USCF ratings? And one of our viewers is actually, asking what's your opinion versus non-rated versus USCF online rated, and tell us a little bit about that.
Wow, that's a couple loaded questions in there and a lot to cover. But let me give it a shot.
Yeah.
First, online chess is a mixed bag. I love it because it brings access to so many people that otherwise wouldn't get the opportunities to play. Obviously, the 800-pound gorilla in the room is concerns of cheating. That's something that really needs a lot of work in the rules. I think, the major players, Lee Chess and Chess.com, have done a wonderful job in terms of developing fair play and cracking down on cheating. Still has a long way to go, though. And, I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of the US Chess online ratings, primarily because not that much online chess is played with that rating system. So I don't believe it's going to be as reflective as one of the other servers. That if someone's playing, 1,000 games a month versus a half dozen US Chess rated, which one's going to be more accurate? So, and I think largely once over the board chess comes back, I don't know how common US Chess online rated events are going to be.
Yeah, and that's a good question, and that's always we are wondering what will life look like once we are back. How will online chess change? Are we going back to where we were before pandemic, or somewhere in between? I do feel it will be somewhere in between, and we just talked with Abel yesterday that we're probably gonna run one tournament a month, but keep our main tournaments over the board, obviously, because everyone is eager to go back to over the board, meet the friends, actually shake hands, and move the pieces, because I think people are missing it. So We have also have a question from a viewer that do you think using formats like Zoom monitoring, so webcam monitoring, will address the cheating problem?
I don't. And I'm probably among the minority of the tournament directors in that way. I think it makes your opponent feel better. I don't think it stops people from cheating. There's cases where, on a rare occasion, it will. I'm not saying there's zero difference, but if someone is that determined to cheat, there's always blind spots for the cameras. You know, you're not going to stop someone whose intent is to deprive others of a fair game, and that's unfortunate.
Yes. Yeah. I also try to say that all these measures are basically deterrent factors. So, but if someone is really, really determined, there's no stopping it, unfortunately.
Right.
And we can try to be smart after the game and try to actually prove that they're cheating, but that's also hard. And if you're smart and if players are smart at above a certain level, they can choose which move to cheat and the rest of the moves don't, and it's hard to catch. So, but do you think actually that those few bad apples should ruin the option for the many who just wants to play chess?
No, of course not. And you know, it was funny. I was talking with some people from different online servers, and I asked what the percentage of players are that they feel are cheating during these events or that they catch. And the interesting thing was, I'm going to put you on the spot right now.
Okay.
What percentage of the players, and this is over the course of a lot of different tournaments, do you feel would are violating fair play, whether it's using a program, getting outside help? What percentage would you think it would be?
It's probably between 1% to 3%, I would say.
Wow.
No?
1% to 2% was the consensus I got. So you were right on with it.
Our experience. Every 100 players, we catch 1 or 2 players, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
but here's the thing.
And one of our players gets 15%. So we are better than that. Preventing that. So
that's true. Now, one of the interesting points I have about cheating on that, or I find it interesting, and there's nothing in the rule book about this, but let's say that as a tournament director, there's a player that you suspect may be cheating. What percentage surety? How sure do you have to be to pull the trigger on throwing them out? Because it's not addressed by the rules, and it's such an important part.
Yeah.
If it's 50%, of course you're going to leave them in.
Yeah.
Because it's a coin flip. But if it's 90%, to me that threshold isn't high enough.
Yeah.
And even if it's 99%, as a chat that I had with Grandmaster Alex Fishbein, he points out, because that means there's a 1% chance that this person played the game of their life, and created something beautiful, and you're going to take it away from them on something that, if they play, 1,000 games of rated chess, and are there 10 of those like that you're taking away from them?
Yeah.
So it's such a difficult point to make.
Yeah.
I don't know that I have the best answer for it. How do you, when you're directing, what percentage surety do you have to pull the trigger on that?
My first question, how do you quantify percentage surety?
That's a fair question too.
It's a very hard question, right? And you have to evaluate a lot of factors, whether that's pro and con, and a lot of emotional factors as well, or subjective factors. So that's always the hard part. How do you evaluate the subjectivity?
The emotional thing is equally important. It's an excellent point you raised, because one of the things I try and incorporate when I organize, when I direct, is I've done a little bit of everything in the chess world. I've been a player, not such a terrible one.
No, you are an class A player, right? Or an
what's
expert.
that?
You are an expert player, right?
I'm an expert, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or at least that's what my rating is. Some would argue them a bit overrated, but and they won't necessarily be wrong. But I've been a chess parent now. My son plays, and I've been a coach for many years. So when I'm directing, I try and take all of those viewpoints, because when you're talking to someone about a fair play violation, it's nice to use the rosy term fair play. But in essence, what you're doing is you're telling someone that you believe that their kid is a cheater, that their kid is a liar. And that's such a horrible thing to do. I mean, as a parent, if you heard that, I mean, it's about your child. It's a dagger. And so, it's something that we need to take those, cheating complaints very seriously. But at the same time, it's our duty to those players to give them the respect that they deserve, and kindness, and be able to allow them to be heard. And that's something that I think that we need to strive to do very well as a community.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I didn't plan on covering this much about the online play, because your entire career was about online over the board play and organizing. But I think it's fitting that today is the first day the new online chess rules go into effect. So we do talk about this. Yeah, cheating is catching cheaters, and when are we pulling the trigger? I actually don't like to pull players out from the tournament. I did that once at a short and fast time control tournament where I was absolutely certain, and three of us were absolutely certain, but we never actually pulled a player out from a fast time control tournament. And once you have slower time control, that's why I actually like to be in charge of or in control of pairing and having only like a few rounds at a week. So we and analyze those games week after week, and then get a little bit of clarity. Third party review. Ken Regan has been amazing, and I can only suggest anyone who needs a little bit of reassurance about their hunch is to reach out to Ken. Chess.com has been also very good. So yeah, it's a tough one, but at the same time, you do want to protect your players. You do want to protect those who are falsely accused. And one of the viewers said, players can become paranoid if they see a lot of cheaters. So you don't want the players to become paranoid as well. So it's a complex issue. And one of the things that I feel it's helping is if you know your players. So that's why Mechanics, I think, took a stand not to grow hugely and out of proportion. We kept our club tournaments to the club level, and we almost really know everyone, or most of the time, 95% of the players we know. So those it's easier to trust, because they're not only risking closure and everything, they're risking their reputation. And it's something is very serious. So
I think it's safe to say that we all really, really miss online or over the board chess, and hope to have the opportunity to play it again soon.
So which is your favorite tournament that you organized?
I organize. I really love the U.S. Amateur Team North. I try and make it fun and engaging for players and incorporate different things. It's the person who I mentioned earlier, Freddie Grunberg. The tournament that I came up playing through was Put the Fun Back in Chess. And it's all about making it a great experience for the players. So I've taken a lot of that and put it into the U.S. Amateur Team North. Freddie also was the organizer of the National Open prior to the loss-offs.
Okay.
When he passed it off to Al and Janelle, who you know both very well. And as far as my tournaments that I love to go to, I love being a part of the National Open staff in Las Vegas, and before that, playing in it. That's probably the best large tournament in the country in terms of most enjoyable for the players.
Yeah. And just some side information, if anyone's watching this, they actually are going to help hold it this year over the board. They are, I know Janelle and Alan working really, really hard to do every possible safety measures for the players. But if you're interested, I think it's end of September, and they just moved to Paris, I think. So it's going to be in Paris.
Yes.
Are you going there?
I really, really would love to.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about flying right now due to the pandemic.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'd be there 100% for sure. So I haven't made up my mind yet. I really would love to. Just it's keeping everyone in my home safe is paramount.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you. I would love to, and we have a direct flight here from Stockton to Las Vegas, but we'll have to see, and as we get closer. Someone asked, as a tournament organizer yourself, I'm sure you are thinking about when can you go back to over the board. Which point is the safest, do you think, or which point would you say it's safe enough? Is it at all connected to vaccine, or do you consider any other guideline?
The vaccine is, that's going to make it easy. When the vaccine comes out, then I believe we'll see a full return.
Okay.
Before then, a lot of people are running some smaller type events, and as we just pointed out, the Losofts with the National Open, they're taking a lot of really great ideas to keep the players safe.
Yes.
So I'm going to be watching that very closely. I'm not going to be organizing a tournament between now and the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So I'm hoping to come back in early 2021, but I'm going to kind of see, monitor how things are going. We are having the Illinois Open. I'm not organizing it, but that'll be taking place Labor Day weekend. And again, that'll be great social distancing. I've been working with the organizer on that. He's going to have kind of the plexiglass shields that go over the board, separating the players. Mm-hmm. He's going to be sanitizing the pieces in between rounds, and is even going to have a fogger, a spray fogger, in the playing room to disinfect the room in between rounds. Obviously, we all have different opinions on what will be safe, but I'm going to be watching it, and if it's something that I think is successful and thinks that I can keep my customers, keep the players safe, and allow them to come back, that's what I'm looking for.
Nice.
So I wish I could give a great date on it and say we'll be back, President's Day weekend with the U.S. Amateur Team North. But I want to keep everyone safe.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's hard to plan because, as probably not many of the viewers know, these are events that we actually have to bid for. So the bidding deadline, I think, is October 1st. So we are just, it's a tough one to decide in October what you're gonna do in February, right?
We're 6 months or 6 weeks away from the bidding deadline, and we haven't seen a major event happen yet. So, we're going to be, I'm sure you're in the same boat. You're going to be monitoring those large events in September as well, and see how they go.
Yes, exactly. So just as a closing, I'm hoping that there are players who are watching this and entertaining the idea of starting a chess club and starting tournaments and organizing and TDing. What would be your wisdom to them? What they should pay attention, what they should focus on first, how they should start it, and what are some of the tips?
Well, in terms of tournaments themselves, most people start after playing in tournaments.
Mhm.
So pay attention to the things that you like at a tournament, which tournaments you look forward to going to and why. That's really important. If you're located in the Bay Area, you're so fortunate to have Judith and mechanics right there. So when they start up, watch what she does and find a good tournament director or organizer mentor. Most of the people who organize and do it well are thrilled to share their knowledge. I know I personally have an open door policy. Anyone that wants to work with me on an event or even bounce off questions. Hey, I'm going to run my first event. What do I need to look out for? How do I handle this? I'm absolutely thrilled to talk to anyone about it and try and help, because I do believe that the kind of the tide raises all boats. The more positive experiences, good, well-run tournaments that there are out there, the better attendance is going to be for everyone. There's going to be more people enjoying themselves when they play, and so many simple things make a big difference when you're organizing. And it sounds like it shouldn't even have a major impact, but if you're able to start the tournament and the rounds on time, communicate clearly so players know what is going to happen and when, they know what to expect. Players relax. Other things keep the playing room comfortable and clean, and you'll be amazed. Just players are going to be less stressed. There's going to be less disputes, and generally have a better time. So, I mean, it sounds like a simple thing, but it really does make a difference.
Yeah, and I second you on the mentoring, and because you do learn from your friends and your mentors, and watching them how they solve TD problems, it's the best way to learn. You can read the book, you can understand the rules, but have the confidence of actually following through ruling. Once you see it, you have a lot more confidence. So if you're in the Illinois area, just reach out to Glenn. I can second. He's been a wonderful mentor, and I've learned so much from you. And if you're here in this area, my personal local mentor is John McComsky, and I really learned a lot from him. And I'm sure there are many great TDs in the area. So
it's interesting you mentioned that, because one of the things that happens at most national events or large tournaments is after a day of directing, the tournament directors go to dinner or maybe for a beverage, depending on where, and they swap the most amazing stories. So if you're a fan of storytelling and hearing these type of things that gone on in tournaments, some of which will blow your mind. Tournament directors, it can be excellent storytellers, and I've been so fortunate to work with so many great ones, many of who I've mentioned, Al Lossoff, Bill Sneed, Wayne Clark, Tim Just. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing it.
In Florida, Brian Yang in Kansas. List goes on and on. So we are So
absolutely. So if you have the opportunity to buy a tournament director a beverage at a tournament or something like that, it'll not that I'm promoting that, but I'll tell you, the stories that you'll hear are quite often amazing.
Yeah. And let me close the show with the story. Like you came here 2018, and I think I learned the most from you about team tournaments and how carefully you review those team pairings. I strictly remember you caught an error that Swisses made, and because of you, we had the correct pairing, and I think it was round 5 actually. It's quite late in the tournament, so it was a very crucial part. So it just shows how you're very careful and very thorough. So I hope you will be able to mentor a lot more TDs. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. Feel free if anyone wants to reach out to me with questions. I promise I don't bite. I'm happy to answer whatever you have.
Yeah, and we will. So what we usually do is we usually put the video up in our newsletter, and then we'll give your contact information and your you have a chess organization, chess weekender, right? If I'm correct, we didn't have time to talk about that next time, and we'll give your contact information. So let's raid St. Louis Chess Club. So our viewers, if you're here, we're going to rate St. Louis Chess Club. So hopefully you can learn something from Mike Kummer. And for those of you who are watching, join us tonight. We have a free Friday night blitz at 6:30. It's a free event for our community. And we are going to have a rapid tournament on Sunday at 2 p.m. And that's going to be a USCF online rated event. So sign up for that too. And last but not least, the last two rounds of the Tuesday night marathon, round 7 and 8, is this coming Tuesday. So come back and see if Kyron can close the show. While I put it in, because I'm alone, so I have to put in the channel, Chess Club. So we are ready to rate. Thank you so much, Glenn, again for joining us, and hopefully you're going to have a good weekend.
Thanks. I plan on it, and same to you. Have a wonderful time, and tell your wonderful family hello.
Thank you. I will. Okay, everyone, you're rating St. Louis Chess Club. Have fun. And we are done. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hopefully I came off okay.
No, this was perfect. They said that the sound was okay.